Tyler Perry wasn't supposed to be the one to set the internet on fire that night. The 25th Bets Awards had all the usual suspects: flashing lights, viral performances, teary tributes. Cameras scanned the audience for A-listers. Backstage crews prepared for seamless transitions. And online, fans were glued to Twitter and TikTok, waiting for anything to trend. But no one saw this coming. Not from him. Not from Hollywood's most famously soft-spoken billionaire. The man who built his empire playing a matriarch in a wig, who rarely spoke out about celebrity gossip, let alone participated in it. Yet, when Tyler Perry stepped onto the stage that night, calm, confident, eyes heavy with something unspoken, the mood shifted. The room got quiet. Not performative quiet, heavy quiet. The kind where people instinctively put down their drinks and lean in. He wasn't accepting an award. He wasn't introducing a musical act. He was testifying. Without naming names, he told a story. A deeply personal story. One of betrayal. Of generosity twisted. Of loyalty discarded like last season's fashion. Some folks, he said, borrow blessings like they're owed, and never return the favor. The audience sat frozen. The line hung in the air, slowly sinking in. Those who knew, really knew, instantly recognized the target: Meghan Markle. Perry didn't yell. He didn't accuse. He didn't have to. The quiet devastation of his words did the work for him, and just like that, the internet exploded. Clip after clip of the speech flooded social media. Hashtags that once worshipped Meghan began to fracture. Comment sections became war zones. Commentators from both the right and left started asking the same uncomfortable question: had the Hollywood fairy tale been a carefully managed illusion all along? To understand the full weight of what Perry said, we need to rewind to 2020. The world was mid-pandemic. The British monarchy had just suffered one of its most seismic ruptures in modern memory. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, in a move that sparked headlines across the globe, had stepped down from royal duties. They were leaving the firm behind, turning their backs on centuries of tradition and fleeing to North America in search of freedom. But freedom comes with a price tag, one that, at the time, they reportedly couldn't afford. Their security detail, gone. Royal funding, cut off. Public sympathy, divided. They needed help. And fast. Not a royal, not a longtime friend. Just a man who saw two people in trouble. Behind the scenes, Perry offered more than just kind words. He gave them keys to his private $18 million estate in Beverly Hills. No rent, no questions asked. He hired private security for them on his dime. He even provided staff and handled logistical issues, essentially giving them a soft landing in a country that wasn't sure what to make of them yet. It was a gesture that stunned many in Hollywood. Not because Perry wasn't known for generosity, but because he usually kept it quiet. At the time, the media painted it as a noble act. A black entertainment mogul extending a lifeline to another high-profile black woman and her husband during their time of crisis. But what no one knew then, what wasn't even whispered until recently, was that the favor would come with emotional consequences. Because behind Perry's quiet smile, something had been building for years. And that BT speech? That was him finally saying, enough. Tyler Perry's generosity didn't stop with the mansion. When Meghan and Harry touched down in Los Angeles after being abruptly cut off from royal protection, they weren't just fleeing a toxic media storm. They were running for their lives. And Perry, wealthy, connected, and deeply private, stepped in without hesitation. He dispatched his private security team to meet them, flew them in a private jet, not just for luxury, but for safety. At the time, tabloids spun it as a friendly gesture, but insiders now whisper that it was a full-scale rescue mission, with Perry footing bills well into the six figures. They didn't have a plan B, one person close to Perry later said. He was the plan B. The couple moved into his gated estate in Beverly Hills, a massive Mediterranean-style compound nestled in the hills, far from prying lenses. It was the safest they'd been in months. Perry gave them full access: staff, drivers, chefs, even childcare connections for baby Archie. At first, everything was perfect. They were grateful, polite, even tearful at times. Perry, known for his deep Christian faith and firm belief in loyalty, felt good about his decision. Here were two people, abandoned, vilified, and misunderstood, finally allowed to exhale. And then, something shifted. According to a source close to Perry, communication with the couple began to dry up almost as quickly as it had started. At first, it was daily check-ins, then weekly, then nothing. Perry had asked for very little in return, just respect, a friendship, maybe a phone call now and then. But those stopped coming. His staff began to notice too. Doors closed more often, messages left on read, invitations ignored. One source alleges that Perry attempted to reconnect several times, even inviting Meghan to an exclusive studio event in Atlanta. She declined. It wasn't about fame or being ungrateful, one staffer noted. It was like they'd outgrown him. Like he was a chapter they'd close the moment they got their Netflix deal. That Netflix deal, reportedly worth upwards of $100 million, was signed just months after the couple left Perry's estate. And with that signature, something unspoken snapped. Because for Perry, this wasn't just about money. It was about principle. Here's where things get even more personal. In late 2022, a now infamous story began quietly circulating among LA elites. Perry had once again offered his private jet to the couple for a discreet international trip, one that could have kept paparazzi away from their toddler and helped them avoid the very security risks they feared most. But this time, they ghosted him. No response. Not even a polite, "we'll pass." Insiders claim Perry was furious, not because the jet was refused, but because he wasn't even acknowledged. A man who had once protected them like family was now being treated like an inconvenience. He felt used, a friend said. He didn't want a thank you card. He wanted respect. To make matters worse, Meghan began appearing in interviews where she thanked a wide cast of characters for supporting her during tough times, but Perry's name rarely came up. When it did, it was brief, almost performative. It didn't go unnoticed. This wasn't a fallout. It was a quiet erasure. And for a man who had spent decades being underestimated and overlooked in his own right, that cut deep. So by the time Perry stepped onto that BET stage, he wasn't just telling a story. He was reclaiming his dignity. He wasn't angry. He was done. What started as quiet confusion among insiders soon snowballed into whispers behind studio doors. When it came to Meghan and Harry, people weren't just curious anymore. They were cautious. Hollywood had welcomed the couple with open arms. Big names like Oprah Winfrey, Ellen DeGeneres, Tyler Perry, Serena Williams, even Beyoncé had lent their support. The Sussexes were the darlings of progressive America, a royal fairy tale rewritten in Montecito, California. But behind the smiles and soft-focus interviews, something was off. Whispers began circulating around dinner tables in Malibu and conference rooms in Burbank. Something about how they moved in silence, and not in the elegant, strategic way you'd expect from A-listers. More like burning bridges, then pretending they were never built. In early 2023, a Netflix executive who'd been instrumental in greenlighting Meghan and Harry's docuseries told a colleague something startling. They disappeared the second filming wrap. That's not normal. In Hollywood, the post-production grind is often more collaborative than the shoot itself. Teams bounce cuts back and forth. PR strategies are fine-tuned. Press tours are discussed. But the Sussexes? They went radio silent. Producers were allegedly left scrambling to fill in context for certain scenes. Some interviewees claimed they were never even told their footage would be used. The vibe? Disorganized, cold, corporate. And for a brand built on authenticity, this was a red flag. Even Oprah, yes, Oprah, seemed to pull back. At first, she raved about the truth bombs from the couple's viral interview. But by mid-2023, when asked if she'd attend King Charles's coronation, Oprah's tone was noticeably neutral. I think they should do what they feel is best for them. Translation, I'm out of this. Now, let's talk power plays. Meghan and Harry had signed with Ari Emanuel, CEO of the William Morris Endeavor, WME, one of the most powerful talent agencies in the world. This was a huge move. The same man who managed Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, Martin Scorsese, and Rihanna was now representing Meghan. The intent was clear: position Meghan as a global powerhouse, independent of royal drama. Think lifestyle brands, documentaries, book deals, philanthropy empires. But sources inside WME claim the relationship soured fast. Why? Because Meghan allegedly came in expecting the industry to bend to her vision, without building the necessary connections, goodwill, or groundwork. One WME insider said she wanted Michelle Obama's platform with a Kardashian timeline. Meetings were missed. Staff were reportedly dismissed for minor infractions. Pitches were made, then retracted. Ideas were floated, then iced. The agency, used to navigating demanding stars, found Meghan's team impossible to pin down. By late 2023, Meghan's representation by WME had quietly cooled off. No public statement, just a soft disappearance from WME's PR pipeline. You'd think that would be enough drama, but then came the Spotify disaster. In the summer of 2023, Spotify pulled the plug on Meghan's podcast, Archetypes, despite a highly publicized $20 million deal. The podcast had all the right ingredients: famous guests, glossy production, big themes. But the behind-the-scenes reality? A mess. Spotify expected more content, more engagement, more consistency. Meghan's team, on the other hand, seemed focused on image control and selective storytelling. The result? A one-season run and a public relations nightmare. Then came the quote heard around the world: "The fucking grifters." That's the podcast industry's view. Bill Simmons, Spotify's head of podcast innovation. That wasn't some tabloid blogger. That was a Spotify executive, and it sent shockwaves through the entertainment industry. Now the whispers were no longer quiet. Meghan and Harry had gone from symbols of independence to symbols of strategic misfire. Perhaps the most painful part of Hollywood isn't the rejection. It's the subtle isolation. No statements, no drama, just distance. Tyler Perry stopped speaking about the couple in interviews. Serena Williams, once photographed cradling baby Archie, now avoids Sussex-related questions entirely. Oprah? Cool and diplomatic. Even Gayle King, a longtime supporter, started hedging her words. And then came the ultimate wake-up call: a growing list of events they weren't invited to. Oprah's 70th birthday bash, the Vanity Fair Oscars after-party, Beyoncé's Renaissance LA show, where Meghan and Harry were noticeably absent, while Kim Kardashian, Lizzo, and Zendaya danced in front-row seats. For two people who were once ushered into every high-level circle, the lack of presence said everything. Hollywood didn't cancel Meghan and Harry, it just moved on. And in a town built on energy, connection, and reputation, that's the one thing you can't afford. You ever listen to a speech and feel like it's not about what it seems? That's exactly what happened at the BET Awards when Tyler Perry, media mogul, billionaire, and longtime Meghan and Harry supporter, stepped up to the mic. Perry had once opened his own home to the couple when they fled the UK. He sent his private jet, gave them security, literally shielded them when the world felt unsafe. But at BET, Perry delivered a speech that, to many insiders, felt like a coded message. "I want you to build your own table. Don't wait for someone to invite you to theirs. Some people try to come in with a blueprint they printed from somebody else's success. But your table needs your scars, your truth." To the average viewer, it was empowering. To those who knew the context, it was a warning. Tyler Perry didn't name names. He didn't have to. Hollywood insiders knew exactly who had recently entered the entertainment space, signed with major agencies, launched a podcast, released a docuseries, and attempted to leverage royal clout into content deals, without actually putting in the industry work. The Sussexes had tried to skip the grind, critics said. No decades of auditions, no indie passion projects, just press interviews, photo ops, and executive titles. And while Perry initially supported them, this speech marked a shift in tone. Gone was the man offering them sanctuary. In his place stood a businessman saying, "Earn your place. Don't just expect it." What makes Tyler Perry so powerful isn't just his wealth, it's his credibility. He came from poverty, built a media empire from scratch, and never forgot where he came from. So when Perry speaks on the importance of building with intention, of suffering, grinding, waiting your turn, he's not just giving advice, he's laying down moral law. And Meghan? Her Hollywood push, while polished, felt hollow to many. Critics pointed out that her podcast archetypes seemed to talk about struggle more than reflected. Interviews felt controlled, topics were surface level, vulnerability was curated. Perry's speech, whether consciously or subconsciously, was a call-out to authenticity. Since that BET speech, Tyler Perry's public involvement with Meghan and Harry has noticeably shrunk. No social media shoutouts, no shared projects, no red carpet appearances. Hollywood doesn't break up with people in public, it simply stops picking up the phone. And as one veteran producer put it, when Tyler Perry cools on you, you're on your own. Here's where the entire story flips. Because while the media focused on Meghan and Harry's brand, their contracts, and their podcast deals, there may have been something far more strategic unfolding in the background. This wasn't just about Hollywood. This was about the monarchy and the art of playing the long game. After Meghan and Harry's Oprah interview and their Netflix documentary and Harry's memoir Spare, the royal family said almost nothing. No public takedowns, no fiery statements, just recollections may vary. But behind the scenes, the firm was reportedly watching everything, and something strange started happening. Over the course of 2023 and early 2024, Prince William and Kate were elevated publicly, taking on more global roles. King Charles began streamlining the monarchy, slashing titles, budgets, and visibility for non-working royals. And Prince Harry, slowly, quietly, faded from royal relevance. Royal insiders called it the strategy of starvation, not a PR war, not a confrontation. Just removing oxygen. No appearances, no statements, no drama. Let the couple overextend themselves in Hollywood. Let the public see the cracks in real time. And eventually, let them choose whether to return or remain exiled. It was brutal, but it was effective. Even the most loyal Meghan defenders, like certain US media outlets, started hedging their coverage. Headlines grew less sympathetic. Rumors were entertained more openly. And old interviews were replayed with new suspicion. Now, here's the twist. What if Meghan's Hollywood ambitions were never about fame? What if, after everything, after leaving the UK, after surviving tabloid torture, after losing royal titles, what she wanted most was to prove she could thrive without them? Not as a duchess, not as a wife, but as Meghan Markle, the brand. If that's the case, then every flop, Spotify, WME, Hollywood doors quietly closing, isn't just a career misstep. It's a personal heartbreak. Because she didn't just want success. She wanted vindication. And the world? It's not giving it to her. Not yet. This isn't about who's right or who's wrong. It's about what happens when power, pain, and pride collide. Meghan Markle didn't just walk away from royalty. She tried to redefine what royalty could be. And now she's facing the oldest truth in Hollywood. Talent opens doors, but character keeps them open.